I am Raymond Whedon. I'm the principal of DC Prep Benny Elementary Campus. My history at the school is that I have been a principal for 3 years here at DC Prep, but I've been in education for the past 15 years. And so, in the last couple of years, I've noticed by working with some of the other schools in the area in DC that I worked with, that I'm actually working with the exact same families, literally, that I had the opportunity to see in middle school or see in high school. And actually, some of our friends are now old enough and grown enough that they actually have kids here at Benny. And so, my history at school is that not only am I working with kids in the same community, but in the same neighborhood, but then also have the opportunity to see the growth and development of the community grow over the last couple of years. The vision that I have for my school and students here at DC Prep is that all students receive the right type of support, the right type of education based off their needs. This goes for all of our kids. So kids who are coming in the door who may be at or above grade level should get the exact same type of support as kids who are coming in our door who may be a couple years below. We do this by making sure we focus on our kids' specific needs through small group instruction. Every child in our building gets small group instruction from preschool to third grade. What our teachers do is take time to figure out what are the needs that they have academically, and then they design lessons that help them get to that place. We also believe that all our kids actually need specific and structured character education. We do this by making sure that we focus on our prep skills, our social skills that we use throughout our school day, and that we teach explicitly not only what the skill is, but how we hope that kids are going to embody that as they grow into being adults. And so my vision for all our kids is that they not only have strong academics, but they also are able to build a strong character to be productive citizens in our city. Yes, 55% of our students are proficient in math and reading across our school building. We also, I just want to make sure everyone knows, that we also are the highest performing CMO in the city, and that we're very proud that Benning is a proud part of that, because we have made the extra effort to make sure all our kids get what they need in this building. It's not unusual for you to see a preschool teacher doing some work with a first grade teacher to make sure that the kids in that classroom are getting what they need. It's very also not unusual for so kindergarten teachers to check in on their third grade students or to pull a small group of students to help them push them over the barrier, because we don't want class time or our structure to be the barrier for kids learning. So throughout our school day, we are always trying to figure out who is the best person to provide kids' needs. How do we make sure that we're able to provide them that needs? And then how do we push and support families to replicate some of the work that we're doing in the building at home? It is that is the uniqueness of our building. That's the uniqueness of DC Prep. And that's one of the reasons why not only is our CMO strong, but we have actually become the strongest and the top performing elementary school in Ward 7 and 8. I do believe that I am personally responsible for the academic growth of all of my students. That is a fun burden to have, but it's also something that drives me and helps me wake up every single morning, knowing that there are 440 plus kids who depend on me, depend on my team to help make the right decisions for them, is something that I am proud of, but also something that makes and drives and keeps me moving and working and trying to make sure I'm surrounded by smart people to figure out how to make the best decisions for kids. One of the things that I have noticed over the last couple years is that because we are always being innovative and always trying to figure out what exactly a kid needs, that now we're in a place that we are actually doing a lot of problem solving, not only in real time, but also able to plan for the things that we expect are going to happen. And as a result, we are able to push academics a little bit clearer and not have to, I wouldn't say panic, but we don't have to, there's nothing that is really a surprise for us. And that's a good feeling because when you get into a place where you are able to know what to expect and you're able to plan for what to expect and you're able to provide kids for what they need, then great things happen and success builds upon success. And that is where we are right now as a school. My academic expectations from our students that are all students are going to be able to perform at or above grade level by the time that they are done with their time here at DC Prep. We do recognize that growth that kids have is not always going to happen within 1 year, but we do believe that as kids move from preschool to second grade and eventually into 8th grade, that by the time that they are able to graduate and go to some of the top performing high schools in the country, it is because of our vertical alignment. It is because that we are very attentive into the work. And it is because that we believe that all kids can perform at high levels because we are the support along with their families that they need. And so my expectations is that all kids are going to perform at high levels because we're giving them the right support. I believe that student achievement is a result of hard work. It is very easy for people to believe that a child was born with a math aptitude or born with ELA or literacy kind of strength. But the truth of the matter is that it takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of support. It takes a lot of trying to figure out what a student needs in order to make sure that kids are able to get that. On the flip side, it takes a lot of work for our kids to actually take what is being provided for them from teachers and actually do it day in and day out. We expect our kids to be here every single day, not because we want just great high attendance numbers, but we want them here every single day because there's more times, more at-bats, more opportunities for them to get exactly what they need in order for them to grow as rapidly as they can. You see the results of that in our preschool, pre-K, and K classrooms. When you look at what we are able to do in our early childhood and kindergarten classrooms compared to what other schools are doing across the city, across the country, we are able to perform at or above where our kids across in kind of more affluent neighborhoods are doing because that we take a more academic approach and our kids are able to do that because we have the right structure. Hard work is the key to our success. We don't make any ifs, ands, or buts about it, and is one of the great reasons why I enjoy working here at DC Prep. I keep track and we keep track of the academic growth of our students because we actually have multiple layers and multiple systems in which we are able to not only track, but we're actually able to take time to digest and try to figure out what exactly it is we need to do as a next step. We look at our data constantly as to what kids need. This can happen in the individual classrooms where teachers are looking at common assessments. This can look at the larger classrooms where we're looking at interim assessments and NWEA assessment that we use. And this also happens at the quarter where we take a step back and look at all of the information that we have and try to figure out what are the things and what are the next steps that we need to do in order to make sure that all our kids are getting what they need. We do this purposely. We believe that reflection of refinement, and we do believe that being a data-driven school is the only way that we can truly figure out what it is that our kids need. We don't want to go off of our gut. We don't want to go off of a guess because the truth of the matter is that a kid only gets one opportunity to be in first grade. And our parents are depending on us to make sure that they are getting exactly what they need. And we can't use an excuse of not knowing what a kid needs as an excuse. So we know it. We collect a good amount of data. We look at assessments. We look at character ed. We look at attendance and punctuation, and we try to figure out what is the supports that we can provide, and then through those supports, we make sure that we are able to align the resources what students need. The behavioral expectations from our students that we do believe that all kids can succeed at high levels when given the right supports. We believe in a warm, strict environment. So what that means is that we do infuse joy. We do make sure that our kids are getting the positive reinforcement that they need. But we also believe that with structure, it is an easier way for us to make sure that they're able to get the academic work that we need. We don't believe in chaos. There is actually no place for that in our building. But we do believe that a kid, when given the right types of structure, when we have a strong foundation across our building, will be able to walk into a place, know that it is safe, and know that their needs are going to be met. Our teachers are very intentional by making sure that we use not only our prep skills, but some of the tools and resources to be able to communicate back and forth to families exactly what students' academic growth is, but also their character ed growth. So what you will see across our building is our prep notes, and our prep notes are used preschool to third grade in different fashions, where we are naming a social skill where a kid did well, we're naming a social skill where they can grow upon, and then we're able to have conversations with families about what they can do at home to support their child when they come back home. We also look at that same type of data at the grade level, at the classroom, at the individual level to try to figure out what are the type of supports, again, that we can use to make sure that our kids are getting what they need. So I guess the best way of saying it is that we really do believe that like if a kid is in our building, we can set an expectation, we can explicitly teach that expectation, and then with our support, they're going to be able to meet that expectation. And so being able to provide both celebrations and consequences for kids is something that we do because we believe that is actually how life works. And we want to make sure they're able to learn that early on. We enforce rules by being both consistent and both fair, but also making sure that all of our teachers and adults are actually normed in what it is that we expect. We take the time to do that to make sure that there are not those spaces of ambiguity. So we use our code of character to help drive the work that we do, but it's also enabled us to have a norm language when we talk with families, when we talk with kids, and when we're all on the same page. At the student level, one of the things that you will see across our building is the prep note. The prep note is a reminder for students to help track the behavior that they are doing, both positive and areas that we need to grow on. We have found that because we use the prep note in our elementary and in our middle school, that our students are able to actually name exactly what it is they need to get better at, and then actually take more ownership of the choices they make throughout the school day. We found that Prep Note also allows us to have clearer conversations with our families when we start thinking about what are the things that a child may need to do in order to become stronger in class. We are able to name both the academic and the character ed components. This has actually been something that has been not only fruitful, it's just beneficial for everyone because when we are in that place, there aren't many arguments around a kid having a timeout or a kid needing to be in detention or a student who we may need to have a phone call about in order to get him back into class, because like our teachers and our families and our kids expect that we're going to make sure everyone is held to the same standard and that we're going to communicate about it and we're going to try to figure out what are the next steps there are in order for a kid to be successful throughout the day and the school year. We reward good behavior by making sure that we use our same data system. So we use our prep note to help us figure out what are the things that students are doing well, and we name that for them. Our teachers collect data throughout our school day, and so we use that information to help us name what are the things that we do in our morning meeting, but we also use that information in our monthly community meetings, in our daily cheers and chants that we do. And so what you will hear in our building is a lot of specific praise, where we're naming, this is what a student did well, this is the impact that it had on not only their learning, but all students' learning. And then this is how other students in the building can actually replicate that in order to, because that now child has become a model for all of our kids. You also will see throughout our building that there's a lot of opportunity for kids to find joy in the work that we're doing. And so that joy comes in the form of chants and cheers. It also comes in the form of essentially some of the nuances and cheerfulness that our teachers do in terms of helping kids transition from point A to point B from a carpet to a desk, or how, this like the joy that our teachers have in general. One of the things that I have learned in becoming a middle school and moving down to elementary school principal is that like if you don't take the opportunity to provide joy for your students, you don't take the opportunity to provide joy for your teachers, you don't actually take the opportunity to provide joy for your family, this work can be really, really draining. And I'm glad that like we look for those opportunities to provide that generosity and humor in all the work we do, because it's not only important, but it's healthy. And that's something that I'm proud that we do here at DC Prep. The types of professional development we provide comes in many layers. So we do believe that that teachers need the opportunity to grow and develop in order to make sure they're able to push students to become smarter. And so we actually are very intentional about the ways that we provide this support. This comes in the form of many ways. And so we have department meetings, essentially where our teachers have time to meet with their colleagues to start thinking about and start to digest lessons and think about what are the things that they need to implement in their class instructionally. We also have grade level teams where our grade level teams come together and they help to think about like what are the things that our grade level team should focus on in order to make sure that we have a strong culture in our building. On our Fridays, we spend dedicated time every single Friday where we're looking at either student work, we're looking at how to develop ourselves as teachers and professionals, we look at instructional moves that we can include from preschool to third grade. All of our teachers are doing this in order to make sure that when they have the opportunity to implement it, which is usually the next week, that they're not only just learning about it, but they also are taking time to practice it and take the time to write it right in their lesson plans. So when they go into the classroom, they just have that extra level of confidence. A big piece that I'm very happy and very glad to see that we do here at DC Prep, and that it actually has moved teacher achievement greatly, is how we do coaching, observation, and feedback. That is actually the biggest piece in what we name for them as professional development. But what it actually is also another layer of teacher support. Being able to coach a teacher in real time, or being able to coach a teacher over the course of a month, and being able to name for them exactly what they are doing well, and name for them that this is an area of growth and this is how I'm going to support you to do that, has reaped great dividends. And we are able to bring in teachers who are brand new to profession, and they're able to have the same outcomes and outputs in terms of student achievement as teachers who have been in the profession for a great number of years. And it is because of our coaching and our observation and the feedback we give to them. When you think about just what it is that makes teaching hard, it is because not every teacher has that piece of support, and being able to provide that for all of our teachers in our building is the reason, is the secret in what we do in terms of helping push student achievement. If we have a teacher vacancy, we work very closely with our talent team, which works out of our home office, to help us screen and filter and make sure that we're getting the best candidates into our building in order to fill a role. We also actually do a very purposeful job of making sure that we keep our teachers on the grade level team, keep students, and also keep parents really informed as to what is happening about that process. We sometimes can seem as if it is slow, but we are doing that because we want to be deliberate as to the type of person that we want in front of our kids. We want to make sure that the person who is joining our team mid-year or joining our school after the start of the year, but also at the start of the year, is not only the right fit for the role, but also the right fit for our kids and our community. Because we know we do a lot of things different here, but we do those things different here in order to help kids to be successful in the work that they're doing. We evaluate our teachers and hold them accountable for student growth in a couple of ways. At DC Prep, we have what we call evaluation process, which actually looks at the teachers' planning, looks at our teachers' classroom culture, and looks at teachers' instruction. We use coaching and feedback and observations as a tool in order to make sure that we are able to provide teachers with that opportunity to see this is where you are, September, this is where you are maybe in October, and we work with them throughout the month or throughout a cycle to help them grow in those areas. In the middle of our year, sometime around November, we have essentially time to reflect, and teachers actually take this time to reflect on their own growth based upon the body of work that they have done from the beginning of the year. Not only just observations, but also looking at student achievement, but also looking at the professional development cycles that they have had, and then how they have implemented those. We use those opportunities to talk with teachers in January, in December and January, in terms of now what does this mean for the development and what they would like to do for the second half of the school year. This is a really fair process. It's something that I appreciate because we are really looking at the whole body of work that teachers are doing, not just observation here and there, recognizing that teachers do a lot of great things throughout the school day. And we need to look at all of those things when thinking about how they have used those tools to help kids to grow to be successful and to make progress throughout the school year. We engage parents in their child's education in the school from day one. And when I say day one, I'm actually talking about the moment they walk into our building, thinking about actually joining our school community. We want to make sure that parents feel comfortable with the work that we do and how we go about doing it. But we also recognize that the parents are actually the prime advocate for all of their kids, and they know exactly what it is that their student needs, especially emotionally and socially, in terms of like how they have developed and what they and what we need to learn from them in order to be more successful. Our families, we see them every single morning, and they dropping off their children to school, and we take those opportunities that we can to have, even if it's a quick conversation about something that may be a concern for them, in order to loop that back into the teachers, in order for teachers to be able to implement that well into the school day. We have a couple of other resources that we want to make sure that we provide for them. So we have a parent action team, in which is a group of parents who actually help support not just the culture of the school, but also like help us with those things that like bring more joy and more excitement into the work that we do. We also have a parent association committee, essentially all of the parents in our building, which we are able to share what are some strengths and what are some growth areas for our whole school as a community. And that happens 4 times a year, where I'm able to provide them with, this is where we are, this is what we want to do, and this is where we're moving towards our school goals. At Benny, we actually do a couple things that help us to keep parents engaged. And so we have what's called First Cup, essentially where once a month we have an opportunity for parents to come and have a conversation with me about things that may be on their mind. All of our parents in our building have the phone numbers and email addresses, and they know that they can contact us up until 8 o'clock at night. And then more importantly, when we think about those opportunities that we have to like brag and truly brag about the great work that our students are doing throughout the school day, we encourage and we also expect our teachers to share that information. We don't want all the information that is shared to be, your child has needed a timeout or they didn't do X. Like, more often than not, our kids are doing some great work in this building. And so we want to make sure that our teachers and leaders and adults in the building are sharing that with parents, so they're able to see not just at home the greatness that they're doing, but also at school. I am able to speak with parents generally any day. The best way to find me is that you'll see me first thing in the morning when I'm greeting students. And I may not be able to speak with them right away, but I always make time that I can have a quick conversation or schedule a conversation with families, because the truth of the matter is that what is on their mind is really important. And they want to make sure that their child is being taken care of, and they want to make sure their child's progress is something that they are not only able to keep track of, but also able to support. So I make myself available, whether it is a phone call at night, whether it is an email that I am responding back to, or if it is a meeting that a parent would like to have, a day or even like the same day. I make myself available because I believe it is important. There are places that don't necessarily do that, but as a parent and knowing that like if I had a question about my son or daughter, I would expect the same thing. And so is easier for me to think it through that lens, because if parents don't feel safe and parents don't feel as if the school is being responsive, it's going to be hard for them to push and support their child in the building, because they have that question about whether or not it is the best place for them. I want all our parents to feel that this is the best place for them and the best place for their students.